Guys, in this episode we explore the tragic demise of somebody's life. So if this kind of thing upsets you or affects you, maybe skip out on this one.
You were sent to a lunatic asylum. That's what this was. There was no reason to murder a bloke at that age. But I'm not seeing any Flegeltaub written on that. The world shrinks sometimes. Morning everyone. I'm just going to present a very short story on the life of a guy by the name of Aaron Flegeltaub. Strange name, yeah? Well, I guess it is a strange name. The cool thing about this dude is that he was a prominent Ballarat district photographer back at the peak of the Goldrush times. I'm going to throw in a couple of samples of his photography work and just tell you a brief history on his life. I think this is the facility that later in his life he checked himself into because he was suffering nerve trouble. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, but for now let's just have a little bit of a look around at this spectacular looking building. Check this out. This is one of a few hospitals in Melbourne City that back in the day, well, it depends where you look. Google says that it was set up as a hospital to treat catastrophic disease, like an infectious disease control centre. It's got Fairfield written up the top there, check that out. You see up there? It says Fairfield campus, so now it's sort of used as, I think from what I can gather, it's like partly abandoned, part school. I don't really know what the facility is now, but that's irrelevant. What is relevant is that back in the day, I think this is one of two potential candidates for the hospital that Aaron checked himself into. So why did he check himself into a hospital? Well, the story goes that he had a car accident which would have been a very, very early car accident if he died in 1921 and he'd suffered nerve trouble from a car accident, right? That tells me that he's had a car accident somewhere between 1915 and 1921. So that says it's very, very primitive, early motor vehicle. Borderline horse and cart still hanging around everywhere. Not borderline, like that's the deal. Like back then, most people were still riding a horse and dragging a cart. So if he's had a motor vehicle accident, yeah, it's pretty primitive. It's a pretty primitive accident. I don't know what sort of speed, I don't know the details, I don't know where, when, if, what, when, how, why, I don't know. All it states is that he'd suffered injury in a motor vehicle accident. And he had nerve trouble, yeah? So with this said nerve trouble, he'd checked himself into a hospital. This is one of a few candidates. There's another, well, there's nothing to show you there, but we're gonna go there anyway. I wanna see for myself and I wanna show you what is left of the second potential hospital in the area where he lived his final days. I'm going to talk a little bit more about his final days soon, but it's a real kicker. I can't find out much about where he wound up. All I know is that he was gone in 1921 and it just, dude, I've never seen a story just stop with a full stop, bam. Newspaper extract says that he died in June 1921 at aged 80. That's it. There's nothing, literally, there's like literally nothing more than that, which is very bizarre. This all came about, I was, let's take a look at this a bit more while I'm walking around talking gibberish. This all came about through my obsession with collecting the old photographs, yeah? And I started collecting ones from the Goldfields, one thing leads to another. I started to take a very keen interest in who took the photographs, not only what the photograph was of, but who took the picture, yeah? Flegeltaub. This name turned up on the bottom of quite a few of them. It says A Flegeltaub, and I'll show you in a sample, but it says A Flegeltaub, School of Photography. And that's pretty quirky, yeah? Like, what do you mean School of Photography? Like, so were you a teacher and these were all samples from students? Is it your work and you were just calling yourself the School of Photography? It's all a bit vague. I mean, if you guys are really keen on what I'm telling you, you could, geez, it's sunny out. You guys could do your own research, you know, you could look up Aaron Flegeltaub, maybe you could fill in some blanks for me. I exhausted myself trying to find stuff out about it. But this is one of what I believe, it's a massive area through here. I actually drove up in here earlier and I got a bit lost. But originally it is noted as one of the 2 hospitals that I can find historically that are near the Yarra River in this part of town. So we could be literally walking around the area where Mr. Flegeltaub lived his final days, or I may be way off. Like, the chance is that we're way off. He may have never seen this building in his life. Or he may have, yeah, literally checked himself in here to try and help himself for this recovery that he was seeking for this damage that he had from this said car accident. Yeah, it's wild to think about, like how people come to their demise. Like, he was a very in-demand photographer. There's a few that spring to mind. Like, when I think of that, there's Richards. There's a lot. I've just got a bit of a mind blank at the minute. There's heaps. There's Very's. When I say Very, V-E-R-E-Y, Mr. Very, he was in Daylesford, Castlemaine. He had photography shops set up. There was a lot of very epic photographers from the goldfields in that time, yeah? And Flegeltaub was one of them, man. So I'm just trying to piece together as much as I can on the remainder of his life, because I find it really intriguing. So this is stop 1 of a few stops that I want to make and just try to piece together the end of his days. You coming with me? Let's see what else we can find. Let's do this. Come on. We're going. All right. Here's another stop on our trail, right? This is what we're looking at, right? Let me show you on the phone so you know exactly what's going on. Here, look. So this is what my phone's showing me. It says Yarra Bend Lunatic Asylum Cemetery. Over there. So the point being, right, all these people here on their little family day, they actually don't realise that they're sitting on the graves of the lunatics from the asylum. And the history books note that it's all through this district as well. I'm going to try and get down. It says it's like on the edge of the Yarra, according to the little map that I'm staring at. It is on the edge of the Yarra, so I can sort of see. Just have a look down here. You ready? It's starting to look a bit bushlandy down there. There's nothing here to say that we're on point or accurate. But let me just get up on top of this log. This is a bit weird to be looking at this close to the city. Yeah, there is some, as you can see, there is some swamp down in there. Well, it's not swamp, it's actually a creek. And according to my map, it says, I'm just having a look at the map, that's the Yarra, right? That's the Yarra River. Make no mistake, that's what that is. It's not Merry Creek. Merry Creek's near here. That is the Yarra River. So it's the same Yarra River that runs past Crown Casino and all the busy, bustling city districts. That's it. I can smell it and it reeks. It smells like pure sewage here, all right? Now the cemetery says it was on the brow of the hill here, through here, and down there on the edge of the golf course. Can you believe that? Edge of the golf course, mate. Lunatic burial plot right there. Edge of the golf course. And there's a couple of gents down there pushing their golf buggies around. They don't have any idea what they're walking on top of, I bet ya. So, let's go down there and have a look. So what's this got to do with Aaron Flegeltaub? Well, probably not much, right? But here's what I reckon it does have something to do with him. This was the cemetery for the lunatic asylum that was here. So unlike Fairfield Hospital where we've been, this was an actual lunatic asylum. So it was not only people that were considered too crazy to be rehabilitated, it was also for people that had a mental illness that had good prospect of coming good again. So many people that came to the lunatic asylum, we don't really have lunatic asylums anymore, they've eradicated them. Now we have things like NDIS, and there's different services that are available to help people that aren't all there and have needs. And that's okay. Back then, you were sent to a lunatic asylum. That's what this was. So whether Mr. Flegeltaub was sent there, right? Whether he was sent there to rehabilitate himself with his injuries, I don't know how banged up he was. He might have been smashed up real hard, yeah? Like he might have had been real disfigured with this nerve damage that he had. I'm leaning more towards this facility, which doesn't stand anymore. There's nothing really to see. I'm showing you the cemetery section, or the said to be cemetery section, because I think that's, well, it's probably the coolest part that's left. And we've got the fringe edge here. This is all like, look, the boys over here having a smack of golf. What's this say? No golf practice in this area. So this is the bottom putting green, and right here is where my map says the cemetery stood, and up on the fringe where we was before. So you can see up over here that I'm pointing at, that's the log of wood that I was just standing on. Down here we can see the Yarra. So this was where they buried folk, and it was all a bit, it's actually a real big river. There's a dude down there on a kayak or something. It was a bit of a done deal thing T's weren't crossed and I's weren't dotted as well back then. Like if people died, they just pretty much buried them in the backyard in these facilities, and a lot of people that worked in them say that that's not the case, that's not how it was, but the history books don't really tell many lies on it either. The notes on this stuff is very vague. People just died and they don't know where they put the body. That's what it is, mate. Like, that's what it is. If you actually look up the lunatic asylum cemetery, this is where it lands. And the pin's dropped here. If you punch it into Google Maps, it'll send you here. That's all I've got to go by, right? Whether there's ghosts here, there's no markers, there's no tombstones. I'm not even going to bother looking because everyone else has sort of, over the years, they've sort of exhausted that. But dudes, this is where it was at, yeah? Somewhere around here was where they were burying folks. Yeah, so according to our friends on Google, it says that Yarra Bend Asylum was established in 1848, so before they'd even found gold on the goldfields, right? It says that it ran for over 80 years before being closed in 1925. Yeah, so now it's all a part of Yarra Bend Park, and the golf club here is part of Yarra Bend Park. So the whole area here is all part of the grounds, the gardens. This area as a whole was part of the asylum's grounds. So anyway, this is it. The key point, getting back to Aaron Flegeltaub, the thing that is quirky about Aaron Flegeltaub is that his death was noted, you ready? Drowning in there. Yep. Aaron Flegeltaub drowned in the Yarra River. I'll put it on the screen and I'm going to read you an extract of what it says happened to him. What it is what we have to go by.
After having inquired today into the death of Aaron Flegeltaub, 79, whose body was found in the River Yarra on June 16, Dr. Cole, the coroner, found that the death was due to drowning. There was no evidence to show how Flegeltaub got into the water. Evidence showed that Flegeltaub, who was suffering from nerve trouble, had been attending a private hospital for 5 months.
So yeah, put simply, like we just read, they don't know. They don't know. There was no evidence to show how Flegeltaub got into the water. So it's not like he was an ex-gangster, so we can't really say that he was pushed in. There was no reason to murder a bloke at that age. My assumption is that he probably threw himself in there. Now, is that fair to throw that on him? I don't know, given his circumstance, is that fair to throw that on him? Probably. Yeah, probably, to be honest. Yeah, is that fair to throw that on him? He threw himself in there deliberately. Yeah, probably. Because at 79, full of nerve trouble, probably getting no help in an asylum. If he was in this asylum and not at Fairfield, but either way, I'm banking on this a little bit more than the Fairfield one because this facility is closer to the Yarra. It's a little bit longer of a walk to Fairfield. When I say longer, it's probably a 7, 8, 10 minute walk. If he had car accident trouble, I don't know. I'm not a detective, mate. But that's just what I've figured, right? If he had nerve trouble and he'd been smashed up from a car crash that we don't really know about, keeping in mind we're talking a vintage car crash, so we're probably talking low speed, but we're also talking low safety aesthetics, no seat belts, no airbags. We're just sitting on a lump of wooden wheels with a little 4-cylinder engine chucking away. Tick, 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 bang, when you smack into something. So yeah, he could have had some pretty horrific injuries. And he might have hobbled his ass all the way down here and threw himself in the river knowing that he had no way of getting out of it. And that might have been the best plan that he come up with, given his desperation. History books don't say, mate, but all we can do is ponder on it, yeah, and just think about, put yourself in that situation. Well, plan B down there is probably better than plan A sitting in here. But what a shame, yeah? Such a prominent dude, mate. Does that with his life and then ends up drowning in the Yarra. Ooh, there was a snake. Snake. All these people here playing golf and having a beautiful day on the playground with their families over here. If only they knew what they were having their picnic on top of. Okay, so where are we going to head to next with this story? I've got a couple of kickers up my sleeve, right? I've managed to locate, well, I did actually locate a lady by the name of Ellen. Ellen is Aaron's wife, and she is buried in the Ballarat Old Cemetery. I consider, as soon as you say the Ballarat Old Cemetery, that resonates to me as being the elite. Most people, not all of them, I don't speak for all of them, but the majority of the people buried in the Ballarat Old Cemetery are people of significance. They are people that helped build the town, people that they achieved great things. Not to say that she didn't, but the fact that she was married to Aaron probably assigns her to that sort of a glory. So we're going to go there and we're going to see if we can find that. No guarantees, but we may or may not find that. I don't know yet. We haven't been there. You're coming with me. We're going to try to find that one and figure that part of the story out. The other part of the story that's worth noting too is that Aaron, he died in 1921, and this facility, the Yarra Bend Asylum, that closed, according to the history books, it closed in 1925. So the institution that he was in was on its final days, not days, final years at the time of his death. So whether that plays a part in it when a facility's starting to wind down, maybe the services aren't as good, maybe he just thought, fuck this, I'm out of here. Maybe that's what he thought. I'm just trying to really piece together what happened to this guy. I don't have anything on his burial. I don't have anything on what happened after he was pulled out of the Yarra. It's like the story just, seriously, the story just vanished. So somebody that achieves such great things can end up in the Yarra regardless of whether he put himself in there, regardless of whether, you know, whether or not, I don't know. Regardless of whether he put himself in there or not, how does a dude like that just disappear? Bam, game over, disappeared. Beautiful Melbourne. You can see the city up over there. Look at that, Melbourne City. What a cracker. It's a good day here today too. Next thing we're doing, we're going to Ballarat. We're going to try and find Alan's grave. That's about, honestly, it's a good 2 hours from here. I'm on the bad side of Melbourne, so I got all the traffic. Anyway, if you know Victoria, you'll know what I'm saying. But Ballarat, good 2 hours. We're going to go and see if we can find Alan's grave. You coming with me? Let's do this. Welcome to the Ballarat Old Cemetery. I know this place pretty well. I know my way around here very well. We're going to go into the records house and see if we can look up Alan and just see if it's going to, shortcut the process. There's no pin to drop on Find a Grave. So if I can locate the grave, I'm going to update the Find a Grave entry. I've registered, so I can do that. I can drop a pin and add a photograph because that stuff is missing from the grave. So, yeah, from the Ford, without further ado, we'll go into the record house. Let's see if we can find her. Come with me. It's as simple as this. Computer, first name, Flegeltaub. How's that for a tongue twister? Search. Alan Flegeltaub. Let's drop a pin on the map. Right, main entrance up here. I'm going to take a photo of that with trusty Steed. Just like this. Bam. Let's get to it, man. We're going to go and find it. Be interesting to see if there's actually anything there. How good's that system? Computer. Oh, mate, why don't all cemeteries have that, eh? I'll go back over here and I'll lock the truck just to make sure nobody steals all my shit out of it. You never know what hangs around in these sorts of joints. I'm probably the biggest threat in here, to be honest. But I'm locking it. All right, so this is not always that easy, but I'm going to give it a red hot crack. I need, I'm looking for section G, and I'm looking for row 4, number 18. I reckon this area here is G. It's poorly, well, it's not fair to say that it's poorly marked, but it's a little miscellaneous the way that it's marked. So some of the sections have got massive markers on them. I'm thinking 4 here, yep. Thinking 4 here, this is a cool cemetery too, just quietly. I will do a full cover on this cemetery, but just not quite yet. Starting this end, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I think that's 1. Oh, that'll be it. I bet you that's it. I bet you that's it. I reckon that's why there's no photograph on the internet. I bet you that's it. Why do I just have that feeling that it's just not worth looking any further? This is definitely section G. You've got the first row there beside the road. Second, third. Oh, that might be the 4th row. Maybe I'm a row. Well, I'll check the theory on the other side. Let's just see. I'll check the theory on the other side just so that the pin that drops, right? So when you drop a pin, unless it's been done accurately before, the pin drop on the map back in the records building, it sort of just throws it out in a big random area. They're not marked in squares like a grave. It's a very random boop, pin drop. But Find a Grave is brilliant. It will take you to the grave like within half a metre. But anyway, let's just try something different. If that's row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, maybe I'll look at it from a different way. Let's call this row 4, and we'll just we'll just count off the graves. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I reckon that's a double. And 10, this is where it gets tough, because this is big. 11, 12, 13, maybe that's 3, 14, 15, 16, 17. That means that this one here would be roughly 18. But I'm not seeing any Flegeltaub written on that. Geez, I tell you what, that'd be, if that's, I tell you what, if that is, geez, this world shrinks on you sometimes, you wouldn't believe it, right? If that is Alan Flegeltaub there, this is Robert Sargent. And I know that it's Robert Sargent because he was the mine manager of the Band of Hope Mining Company in Sebastopol. He managed one of the biggest, deepest mine shafts in the world to this date. That's where he rests. And I'm doing a full video on him. I can show you his house, I can show you where he worked, I can show you where the mines were. I have a lot of history on this guy. That's an upcoming video. So I've spilled the beans. There you go, you heard it here first. And if that is Alan Flegeltaub, that's out of all these graves. I don't know how many graves there are in here. I'll look it up and I'll put it down the bottom after, but there's a lot, yeah? And if that's Alan Flegeltaub right beside Rob Sargent, the world shrinks sometimes, you know what I mean? Sometimes, even now, you've got to be careful what you say because you'll piss somebody off that you never dreamed of and you won't even see it happen. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I reckon that's it. I'm going to switch the camera off and I'm going to just really get me bearings a little bit better. And if anything else comes to light, I will touch back with you guys. You'll be the first to know. Leave it with me. I'm going to walk around here in a daydream like a zombie for a little while and just reconfirm for sure that I'm doing this correct. I'll be back. I'll give you my final update before we bail out of here. So what I started doing before in desperation was I just started punching in names of graves that I knew, yeah? So I just sort of, you know, Marcus Shara, right? So punch that in and just, it gives me a location and then I can see whether I'm getting close. And I've just now seen Flegeltaub over here, right there into the sun. I know you can't see it because the sun's smashing in the lens, right? But let's go for a walk around. I reckon it's a bloody, if I'm right, it's a bloody impressive grave. A lot of these graves around here have got some funny language on them that I can't read. This one has 2. It's different. It's Rachel Flegeltaub. I'm going to look it up though. Rachel Flegeltaub. I wonder if this is, I'm going to look it up. I reckon it's, if you count 1 to 18, I reckon this would be around the 18 mark, right? I reckon I'm on point. I just don't know whether I'm in the right section, but how many Flegeltaubs could there really be? What's written on the top? There's something on the top. I don't want to stand all over it. I'm not a prick, but whatever was on the top you can't read anymore, or it might just be corrosion in this marble. It's very gritty. Feels like it's been sandblasted very hard. Eternal rest. No, 43rd year. This is sounding like 43. Rachel Flegeltaub. We don't want Rachel, we want Ellen. And what's this? This was obviously on the top. See, this is that writing. Someone in the audience might know what this is. I have no clue what that is. Like, yeah, I got no idea. Oh, yeah, that would be, yeah, okay. So that's been up here, hence why yeah, I get it. It was a dumb thing to think. Who made this monument? No maker's mark on the corner. No maker's mark etched on it. I'm gonna look this up, right? Give me a second. I'm gonna look this up right now. I'm gonna look up Rachel Flegeltaub right here and now. Better yet, you do it with me. Let's go, all right? Flegeltaub, again. And then let's go, how are they spelling Rachel? They're spelling it C-H-E-L. Let's go, search. What happens? No matches found. Really? Ha. Why not? What do you mean no matches found? I'm staring at it. No matches found. It's there. I've spelled it 100%. If you're out, when you type this stuff in, if you ever use Find a Grave, when you type it in, it won't find anything that's somewhere near it. You must be specific, and I've spelt that 100%. Rachel, and then Flegeltaub, Taub. Yep, that's it, mate. That's what's written right there. You want to see for yourself? Rachel Flegeltaub. It says not in here. That really throws me. Sometimes people got buried with different names too, yeah? Like they'd stuff it up, or maybe her name wasn't Ellen, maybe she was Rachel. Let's, oh, this is Flegeltaub as well. Oh, no, it's gotta be, we gotta be right. These are Flegeltaub as well, and look who built that. That's your boy, F-Dub Commons right there. It's got that urn thing going on. What about the one beside it? That's massive, look at the height of that. That's Steinfeld. Not Seinfeld as in the sitcom, Steinfeld. I'm off topic, but Flegeltaub right here. So who have we got in this one? Wolf Flegeltaub. I've seen that name online. Phoebe. This is it. Phoebe. Plot. Yeah, G, section 4, row 1, grave 20. So this is grave 20. Right, we know Phoebe's in here. This is grave 20. Because it says so right here. There's even a photograph of her. It's not who we're looking for, but this Phoebe. Phoebe's written on the side here. Died 1917, is that right? Yep, died 1917, yes. So Phoebe's here, we're sitting on top of her, right? Phoebe's here, and that's grave 20. So if we back count a couple, depending what they call the numbers here, yeah, Ellen's one of these. I don't know why she's not getting a mention. Why is she not getting a mention? No mention. And this Rachel Flegeltaub, if it wasn't for that bit of scripture written up there in the name, bam, not even existent. Not even existent according to Find a Grave and according to the records in here. There's no mention of a Rachel at all. So she doesn't exist as far as the records are concerned. 43rd year, geez, it sounds like Ellen. Look, even the dates are lining up. I'll screenshot this and put it on the screen maybe so you guys can see what's going on. But look, the dates are even lining up here. They've got the names wrong. So was it Rachel or was it Ellen? Because everything else on here lines up, right? Wow, how deceiving is that? In her 43rd year, 22nd of November, 1888. What's that say on there? It says the same thing, 23rd of November, 1888, age 42 or 43. She was born in 1845. This that's something else. That's their native language, wherever these people were from. This is her grave, I'm adamant. Or whether the stonemason at the time bundled it up, maybe he stuffed it up. The history books say that Aaron Flegeltaub's wife, her name was Ellen. Maybe it's not his wife at all. Maybe she didn't even know who he was. They just had the same name and someone's just put that contribution on there. I don't know, it's not the right name. But there's a few, who made this? If F.W. Commons made this one here, yeah? How good's that? He turns up a lot. Fuck, he's the boy. He's the boy. Then who made this one? So if the Flegeltaub family are using F-dub, no mention of F-dub on this. And to be honest with you, the quality of this carving, it's shit. It's not F-dub work. Look at F-dub. Look at the crispness of that. It's like it's been done with a CNC router. This is just, I know it's old, yeah, but it wasn't good in the first place. It's not geometric, it's just shit. That's not very nice. Sharpie, you're being terrible about it. Stop it. You can't be so terrible about this stuff. Yes, you can. If it's shit, it's shit. It's even got the big Flegeltaub font etched in. Look here. Etched into the brickwork down here. It's not brickwork, it's bluestone, but look. superbly smashed into it. Flegeltaub, there's the family name, the family icon. Your guess is as good as mine, dudes. I reckon that's Ellen or Rachel, call her as you will. I'm glad that we actually found it. It's a long way off. It's not near old mate Robert Sargent. Man, that would have been, poor. Anyway, it's not, doesn't matter, it's not. Anyway, may Ellen rest in peace, or Rachel, may she rest in peace. It's been forgotten about for a long time. It's a long time ago. It just dawned on me. We don't know how she died. She's not very old. Oh, I feel like I need to download her death certificate. You know, her death certificate might actually have some missing info on it. It'll not let me buy it if I've got the name wrong, so that might help decipher whether it was Rachel or Ellen. It will also, if we get it right, it will also have the spouse / marriage status. There's a column there for that, so it will say whether Aaron is part of that deal or not. I reckon I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. When I get home, I'm going to download it and I'll add it to it.
And just like that, here we have it. This is the death certificate of Miss Ellen Flegeltaub. You can see her name there in the second column. Third column along, her age dated at 43 years. Fourth column is a bit of a kicker. It's cause of death, and her cause of death is very unfortunate. She died of a tumour of the uterus. It goes on to say a little bit more about her burial, which is in Ballarat in this column here. The end column states all of her children. There is quite a few there, and most of it is inaudible. I can't read a lot of it. Back to the very first line there, you will see place of death, Eyre Street. I'm going to take you there. That is in a very, very central part of Ballarat, not far from this very cemetery. And just last, you'll see in the second from the end column there, the name Aaron Flegeltaub. That is the marriage column, so this definitely ensures that we've got our right person. Ellen was married to Aaron. Beautiful.
Welcome to Eyre Street, Ballarat. What's the relevance? Well, the relevance is somewhere along here saw the death of Ellen Flegeltaub. Now, obviously, we're talking 1888, right? It's a long time ago. A lot's changed. I just want to set a bit of a feel for you guys and just show you a couple of the, making sure I don't get cleaned up by a car here. I just want to show you a couple of the older homes along here, because some of them are cool. Like this one over here. It's just off to the side. Have a look. Look at that masterpiece. So the thing is, right, Ballarat's changed a lot in that time, but we can still get a little bit of a feel, you know, as to what might have been going on at that sort of vintage. The old homes, look. Some of them are still got a lot of charm, you know. And look, 1888, I can't paint that clear of a picture for you guys as to what it would have actually looked like. Obviously no sealed roads, no cars, horse cart, dirt. Probably still tents up the other end. We are on the Ballarat city, more central, and Eyre Street's probably 2 kilometres long, 1.5 odd miles. It's pretty long, this little one here. Just a little cottage, just tidy little cottages. Very cool. There are some bigger homes along here. I couldn't really date them. I would have thought there's a big one coming up. I'm getting a little off topic here, but I want to show you anyway because it's as cool as hell. I would probably date this around that time, to be honest. I would say 1890. I'm not an architectural detective, but I reckon, check this out, man. You have a look at this. Is that colossal or what? The chimneys. Even the neighbouring one. The neighbouring one's like a duplex, I reckon. There's like 2 units with a big firewall, divisional wall. But this one's a standalone residence. What a masterpiece. Yeah, but anyway, like I was saying, I can't really paint that clear of a picture. All I can do is sort of, wow. All I can do is sort of have a bit of a guess. And I'm assuming it would have been somewhere along this end in these few blocks. And the reason that I think that is because I don't believe that Eyre Street would have been that established on the West End in 1888. But anyway, this is Eyre Street. Somewhere, Alan Flegeltaub died along here. And it's cool to ponder on, I guess. All right, man, here's the thing. Along all this and out of all this, I still hadn't figured out where Aaron himself was. I mean, the newspapers had said something about, man pulled from river, Mr. Flegeltaub, photographer from Ballarat district. There was a few extracts that I found around that time, but there was nothing about a funeral service. Nothing. Like, nothing. And that got me thinking. I thought, well, any wonder there's nothing about a funeral service, because usually from the death extracts or whatever in a newspaper, and you can find them on Trove, normally you'll find things that lead to a funeral service, Within the days of pulling the body from the river, you can generally do a bit of a search and find what you're looking for, but I didn't find any invitations to friends or family of Mr. Flegeltaub to follow any type of funeral procession, to any type of cemetery or place of burial. And I've been saying all along, it was like a real cold end, like bizarre, dudes. Anyway, I thought out of Ellen's death certificate, I might have got some sort of a lead. The only lead that we had was what I'd already shown you. It did prove that we had the right grave at the Ballarat Old Cemetery, and it did prove that Ellen/Rachel was in fact married to Aaron. So that did connect those 2 dots, but it still didn't help me as to figure out where Aaron actually was. And I sort of had that funny inkling that he's probably in that grave with her. But it turned out that he's not. What I ended up doing was I spent an enormous amount of time searching births, deaths, marriages, would you believe, scrolling Flegeltaub, and there's a lot of them, trying to find an Aaron. And I did find an Aaron Flegeltaub in Fawkner Cemetery. What's he doing in Fawkner? It's where he was. The only way that I could find this out was through buying the death certificate, which in the column that I was really looking for stated that he was buried in Fawkner Cemetery. It was the only way that I could find out where Aaron Flegeltaub was laid to rest. I'd even gone over the road of thinking maybe he's been cremated. When did cremation come in? 1921? Well, it's not that it wasn't around. 1903 saw the option of cremation in Victoria. It became legal, but it wasn't really accepted until the late 1900s. It was very, I don't know, I wasn't there, but from what I can read on it, it was very frowned upon and controversial. And now it's just it's just common. It's 50-50 chance. Some people want to go in a hole, some people want to be cremated. It's very, very common. But the moral of my story here, dudes, is that I started thinking that maybe he'd been cremated, but no. Long story short, he's in Fawkner Cemetery. There's no picture on Find a Grave, and I couldn't find him on Find a Grave. It took me ages of scrolling. So I'm looking and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? His death certificate, you have to understand, the death certificate said he's in Fawkner Cemetery, yeah? But the more I look up Find a Grave in Fawkner Cemetery, I'm not finding him. There's no Flegeltaub in Fawkner Cemetery with the first name Aaron. What am I going to do? it says he's there. I thought maybe I'll call them, you know, maybe I'll call them and they'll have a better, maybe a better record on Flegeltaubs, or even somebody with the first name Aaron. It was spelt wrong. And I should have known better. I even spelled, I did preempt that, and I tried spelling Aaron with one A. I tried spelling Aaron, you know, one A. I tried Flegeltaub in a few. Taub could be spelt maybe T-O-O-B instead of T-A-U-B. But what it was what I didn't really look for. Flegeltaub, F-L-A, instead of an E. That's why Find a Grave wasn't finding it. And once the spelling was right, bam, there it was. It gave me a grave location. But like I said before, no photograph. I've got to go there and check it out, man. So let's go. Come with me. Okay, so here we are. We've made it. Faulkner Cemetery. We're still on the hunt for Mr. Aaron Flegeltaub. I don't know how many people there are buried here, but there's a lot, yeah? We need Hebrew B is what we're going to shoot for. We'll get cracking. We're going to drive there because it's too far to walk. Believe me, you'd need a golf cart to get there. So we'll go for a little drive and we'll touch back again. Okay, so we've established that there's no numbers. It's the Hebrew section, so we're not real familiar with the language that's written on them. Although some of it's right beside the train track. That's bizarre, brother.
Goes through the middle of the cemetery.
Goes right through the middle of the cemetery. But some of them are readable.
English and
English, yeah, it's a combination. Okay, but we're looking for grave 460, but it's kind of like looking, and unless we can figure out some sort of a system. There's numbers on them. Look, 725. 720, at least that one's numbered. Are the numbers going up? You'd think it'd be that way. If that's 725, the ground's very soft here. So what we're looking for is getting to be easier. It's not so much the needle in the haystack that it was. Higher this way. No, you're going the wrong way, this way.
Does it go that way up?
Yeah, higher this way. Maybe come back one, yeah. Now I can't see any numbers. None. Geez, we must be close. 471, just see it, look. Look at that, just there, 471. 471. Here, 70, 69, 68, 67, 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, 61, 60, it's somewhere here. It's somewhere here, damn near right where that metal bit of crud is, I reckon. I tell you what I'm going to do while I'm here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look up these people on Find a Grave, and I'm going to use that bit of reverse psychology, if that's what we'll call it. I'm going to look these people up and find out what their plot numbers are, and that'll tell me if I'm real close. I just want to confirm it before I assume that that's where Aaron Flegeltaub is. So I'm going to do that. Give me a second. Okay, so I've looked up Mr. Lewis Cobber here, and Lewis Cobber is grave 457. So if he's 457, 5'8", 5'9". It is. It's 5'6". It is. It's like it's literally one of these plots, probably somewhere near this bit of bar, this bit of carnage, which I think's come off Mr. Cobra or Mr. Cobber's grave there. But yeah, I reckon that's it. Aaron Flegeltaub lies here somewhere. It's a little disappointing, to be honest. I kind of assumed when Find a Grave didn't have a photo, I kind of assumed that was going to be the case. It's pretty normal for that to happen. Yeah, as you can see, Aaron Flegeltaub, the memorial is missing a grave photo. They're pretty good nowadays, mate. Like, there's photographs of most graves online people have added. Fawkner's a long way away from where we are too, so we've driven 2 hours to come. I'm not complaining. It's part of what I enjoy to do. That's part of the gig, man. But yeah, it's a long way to come and find that. It doesn't really make sense to me when people, like prominent people like this, like he was a pioneer of photography on the Goldfields in Ballarat. He was a pioneer of photography in Victoria, and then they wind up literally forgotten about. That always blows me away. Like, to not even have like, this guy winds up in a river and then gets thrown in a hole with no marker. Dude, that's rough. You can see I'm a bit lost for words in a bit of a way. It doesn't shock me, but it does shock me. I don't know whether it shocks you or not, but when you look at somebody's life, you can sort of see who was somebody and who did something and who really just lived a life and didn't achieve anything. It's not fair to label any one person with that comment, but some things make sense. It's like, they grew old and got forgotten about and got thrown in a hole and forgotten about. That makes sense. But when somebody's done something and carries some sort of notoriety, it just seems very bizarre to me that they just get totally forgotten like that. And that's what's gone down here. Mr. Flegeltaub is in an unmarked grave just like that. And you question it. I've ran up and down here a couple of times. I got my offsider with me. And we've been up and down here a couple of times trying to piece it together. And that's what it is. It's right there. Hope Mr. Aaron Flegeltaub can rest in peace, if there's such a thing as that. So why did Flegeltaub end up here? We've just been having a deliberation. This section's Hebrew Jewish, and Aaron's death certificate says that he resided here from Poland. So he spent 20 years in Western Australia, and then it says he spent 34 years in Victoria. It says that right here. I've got his death certificate. I'm just using that for a reference. So being Polish, we're thinking that that's got something to do with why he was buried here. But why was he, just thinking while I'm talking, why was he not buried with his wife, Ellen or / Rachel, in Ballarat? I know there's quite a time lapse there, quite a time difference, but yeah, anyway. He's left children behind too. Like, you'd think his kids would want something better for him than what he's got. So it looks like he lived his final days in a self-checked-in institution to try and rehabilitate his injuries, and died in a river and got thrown in a hole with no name. Something for you all to ponder on anyway, but I'm done pondering on that topic, and I am out of here for now. Thanks for watching. Bye everyone.
And hey, if all that wasn't enough for you, think of this. Next time you break a bone, remember Aaron Flegeltaub. He was one of the first people to import and demonstrate the X-ray machine right here in Victoria. And if you're wondering what Aaron Flegeltaub looks like, unfortunately you're going to have to keep wondering. There's no known photograph of Aaron Flegeltaub. How uncanny is that for an iconic photographer?